Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from the border of liberty and prosperity in the highway to the north, this is Safety Works for Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. How's everybody doing out there? Yes, I know, I didn't upload the program from last. I will get to it. We'll get to it. It's coming. I'm not really editing, so, just couldn't get around to it. We had other things happen last night, as, it's a madhouse here, some days. But we're getting better. Now, we covered a lot of new material lately, and there was some confusion. I got some comments back and everything else, so we're going to try to clear that up here. And, we're getting into more politics, unfortunately, because things are moving fast. And for OSHA policy to be in the mainstream media news, incredible. Just incredible. Yes, it's fine. New Jersey Devils. Now, you're going to say, well, what's the Jersey Devil? Little legend. It comes from where I went to college, down in Pine Barrens of New Jersey. And Jimmy Leeds, Galloway Township, Pomona, New Jersey, that area. There, outside of Atlantic City, the Leeds family was very prominent, and as legend goes, there was a 13th child of Leeds, and Mrs. Leeds, I forget her name, says, I hope he's a devil, and thus the legend of the Jersey Devil is born. What anthropologists probably say, and historians, was that there was a child with some severe maybe physical, maybe intellectual situations. And back in them days, the 1700s, had to be 1700s, early 1800s, what happened? They kept people locked away, and then the person got out, and, that's in all likelihood what it was going to be. But there were, if you're from that area, there's a lot of legend around it, like with Bigfoot and things of that nature. Northern New Jersey, Bigfoot. The Native Americans called Bigfoot Red Eye, or Sasquatch, or Red Eye. Anyway, that's, I digress, but that's the legend of the New Jersey Devil. And, even till today, I had to laugh. Around 20 years ago, there was an active Jersey Devil hunter group at that time, and it consisted of a guy, and I guess this was his way of finding love, attempting to find love, and he what's the word I'm looking for? He used to go, and he'd invite women out into the woods with him to go looking for the Jersey Devil at night, of course. Sounds a little bit creepy, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wow. But that's not surprising, being in going to college at Stockton State College in the late 80s, early 90s. There were areas of the campus where, and police knew that they were patrolled, where people would go, to socialize. We'll leave it at that. A couple of things I came up with, and we're going to talk about this, is the man year. I had it written down here on a piece of paper yesterday. But what's the idea behind the man year? You say, well, okay, we'll call it person year to be more politically correct. But what's the idea? People throw around numbers for money. Right? Numbers. And 1 million, the government says this is going to cost 1 million, and this is going to cost this million, and this is going to cost this million, and this, and all this other stuff. Kind of hard for the average person to comprehend. Right? Sort of like when we're talking about risk, and we're going to talk about the hazard matrix table because we made some modifications for it that are very apropos for today, meaning 2025 situation. So the man year, what is the man year? Man year is, we get and these numbers are updated every year, every month. It's basically non-union, non-skill, average wages for non-skilled, non-farm work. They're updated by the Bureau of Labor Statistics every month. And this is what it comes down to. The average weekly wages, and this is the last month we have data for, is December of last year. So 1 million years, they're going to update this allegedly on Friday for January. 1 million year is the wages someone earns in 1 year on average. So the weekly wages are $1,224.80 per week. That comes out to annual wages of $63,689. All right? Let's zoom in so you can see that. To earn $1 million, the average person must work for 15.7 years or 15.7 man years. Simple. What we are doing, and that's assuming that the person is going to take all their money and put it into the tax system. Right? With that. 15.7 years. So for 1 million, now another thing is, for 1 year, right? So this is going to cost $1 million a year. You need 15.7 workers to work for 1 year for free for $1 million. Or if you add the tax system in, right? We're going to assume 50% taxes when you add them all together at this range. So you could double that number. It's 31.4 with 50% taxes. So this is, you take your entire gross income, right? And that's what it comes down to. So when you hear about $100 million, it's 15.7 man year. 15,700, I think the numbers are correct on there, man years. Or you need 15,700 people working for 1 year. Why do I mention this? Like I said, we need to move the ball forward here, folks, on all the public policy and everything else that's going on, whether we're dealing with OSHA, whether we're dealing with anything else, right? Environmental issues and everything else. It costs money. And often, as safety professionals, we forget that things cost money. That there is a risk, there's a reward, there's an economy here and everything else. And if you are taking a certified safety professional or associate safety professional exam, they have, as part of the body of knowledge, I got to be careful here because I'm not giving any answers. As part of the body of knowledge, you have to know return on investment and all different economic things. So you can make recommendations to people on on stuff. So you need to know a little bit about economics. That's part of the body of knowledge. Do you get asked on that or not? I'm not going to tell you that. All I'm going to say is my exams followed the rubrics that they give you for the whole thing, for the exam. Mine followed pretty much, maybe within a couple of percentage points either way. I know some people who had exams where they were all math questions. I know some people who had exams that are all legal questions, and all vice versa, because these are all apparently randomly generated. So you need to know that with that. And we're going to go over what does it mean for us here in a minute. Now, we're going to mosey on over to the OSHA website here, and we're going to do OSHA.gov, and we're going to look in here, safety pays. All right. And this is the OSHA Safety Pays tool. And I think, let me get this on. I think this has not been updated recently here. So, Safety Pays tools. The estimated, and they have a tool here, a couple of tools. I don't know when this was updated last here. And people argue one way or another whether it's accurate or not. And right now, let's get started using the tool. Safety Pays tools produces a report comparing injury or illness rates of your business to your competitors. The tool will be most useful if you have a recent record of your business safety performance, such as the OSHA Form 300A, and your annual illness logs, which are supposed to be posted right now. So we're going to go into... let's see, let's pick one out. I think they changed this a little bit. It's been a while since I've been here because I haven't had to break this out because my clients have been a lot more reasonable here. And let's find one, the industry we're in. Construction. Residential building construction. NAICS code 23611. Enter the number of employees. Let's say you're a small business owner, you got 3. Step 2. Enter the injury, illness, and lost time case numbers for your business. Use the industry average on this. Use the industry average. Customize business assumptions. Profit margin of 3, and type of workers' comp, third party, private or state fund, and you're going to find the results. Your industry results are based on 23611 residential building construction industry and 3 employees. And then you can download the report. So, total case rate, TCR, per 100 full-time workers, 2. Right? Top-performing competitors have the lowest 25% of rates among all businesses with this. All right? And it goes down. Average cost for all competitors. Blah, blah, blah. Going on here. Download my report. And you know what? We're not going to do that with that. So that's the average cost. Right? And you are determining here the Safety Pays program. All right? With that. All right? OSHA Safety Pays. The tool produces a report comparing injury or illness rates of your business to your competitors. So you're comparing your business to everybody else using the standard of 2 cases. Right? And you get 0.3 cases for all top performers. Now let's go back. Yeah, they changed this a lot here. So how much does an eye injury cost? That's what I'm into. Individual injury estimator. So we're going to begin. Estimated cost of occupational injuries and illnesses and the estimated impact on a company's profitability worksheet. So let's direct what kind of injury. This is what I want to see. Let's say we're going to say an eye injury. Let's see. So this would be here a foreign body injury, right? Enter profit margin 3. That's standard 3%. Number of injuries 1. Let's calculate. Estimated cost for a foreign body injury. That's usually to the eye. You're looking at the direct cost of $21,959, the indirect cost of $24,054. All right, total cost of $46,113. Additional sales, you're going to need to make $805, $805,000 plus an additional sale total of $1,537,100 total. All right. It's a lot of money. So safety. So when someone says, we're not going to wear safety glasses because we don't really understand why we need to and everything else, well, guess what? Now you have an issue here. Because how much does a pair of safety glasses cost? Not $1.5 million. That's for damn sure. Let's see what we have here. Laceration. Right? Enter profit margin. Enter number of injuries. 1. Add or calculate. So this is for a laceration. $21,872 direct costs. Indirect costs, $24,059, $45,000 total costs, additional sales, and basically the same numbers, 1.5 mil on here. So, direct costs. All right. How do we define this? Direct costs would be along the lines of you're going to get a direct cost, and what are you going to have to do with that, and all the medical direct costs associated. What the indirect costs are, typically you're going to have to train a new employee, would be 1. You're going to have to assign overtime. Everyone else has to work harder. With that would be an indirect cost to you. So you're talking a lot of money here. Financial stuff, very, very important for you to consider if you're a business owner or a manager with that. Now, you understand that? Because now we're going to put it all together here with this, right? Well, that costs money. You could understand that with the profit margin and everything. Now we're going to mosey on over to, and the big thing is USAID, right? United States Agency for International Development, right? Let's get the website here. And all right, here is the current thing, USAID. On Friday, February 7th at 11:59, all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally, with the exception of designated personnel responsible for mission-critical functions, core leadership, and specially designated programs. Essential personnel expected to continue work and will be informed by the agency leadership by Thursday, February 6th. That's tomorrow at 3 p.m. For USAID personnel currently posted outside the U.S., The agency, in coordination with Missions and the Department of State, is currently preparing a plan in accordance with all applicable requirements and laws under which the agency would arrange and pay for return travel to the United States within 30 days and provide for the termination of PSC and ISC contracts that are not determined to be essential. The agency will consider case-by-case exceptions and return travel extensions based on personnel or family hardships, mobility, or safety concerns, or other reasons. For example, the agency will consider exceptions based on the timing of dependent school term, personal and familial medical needs, pregnancy, and other reasons. Further guidance on how to request an exception will be forthcoming in advance. Why do I go through this? We get little blurbs on the news, and they're meant to manipulate. And guess what? Manipulation is part of the safety war. How are we being manipulated? We're being manipulated by not given information or deep dives. What was reported, and I can line up stories on top of stories, is everyone's being furloughed on Friday. And we're going to lose all this institutional memory. Right? Which is a valid point, but that's not the whole story here. This is some 7 hours ago with Marco Rubio, right, the current Secretary of State. U.S. officials now say Trump only wants to displace Palestinians from we're not talking about that. That's not what we want. Oh, here, let me zoom down. Okay, the link is the wrong link on the website. Okay, this is from MSN. What is USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development? The main agency tasked with distributing U.S. foreign aid, USAID, is facing renewed scrutiny by the Trump administration, which has suggested it could drastically overhaul or even shutter the organization. Created by President John F. Kennedy, the U.S. Agency for International Development emerged as an effort to separate military and non-military assistance. And, it gives foreign aids to tackle specific things, humanitarian aids. But some of the criticism that they have, and this is from what I've read today all over the place, along with the humanitarian aid, there are many other medical aid, things of that nature. There are many other things that go on here with this. And here you go. How much does it cost? According to the MSN article, in the 2023 fiscal year, USAID managed a roughly $40 billion budget. And that represents less than 1% of the federal budget of $6.1 trillion the same year. It provided aid to 130 countries in 2023. And it comes down to this. They give money to a lot of different areas. And there's accusations going on that some of the money does not go where it's supposed to go, or it's going to very nefarious reasons. Now, I'm CIA, different things. The money never actually goes into different things, and there's waste and abuse. Now, the story is here, and this does not, no, I'm not saying this is true or not true. I'm saying I'm giving you the raw data and the raw information out there. That's one side of you. Now, the White House issued an executive order here on this. And again, why are we going over this? We want truth here with this. For decades, and this is from February 3rd, 2025, this is the executive order, USAID, waste and abuse runs deep. For decades, U.S. agency, this is Donald Trump writing this, or at least on his behalf, for international development has been accountable to taxpayers as it funnels massive sums of money to the ridiculous and in many cases malicious pet projects of entrenched bureaucrats with next to no oversight. Because this is a political hot potato. Because you don't want to be on the record somewhere saying, oh, we took away aid to someone. And guess what? A lot of legitimate humanitarian aid is out there to Africa and everything else with this. People are going to starve in all likelihood because of this. However, when you are, the other thing is, on the other hand, if you are an executive, like the president's the executive, he's executive of the country, if you are aware of there may be possible fraud and waste and abuse in your system, you have to route it out here, or at least point it out. Now, he may have overstepped his authority here. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on the radio. So here we have, for decades, the United States Agency for International Development has been unaccountable of all pet projects. Here are only a few examples. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. $70,000 for the production of a DEI musical. $2.5 million for electrical vehicles in Vietnam. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for a nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after an inspector general launched an investigation. Millions to EcoHealth Alliance, which was involved in research at the Wuhan lab, which has been accused and was in the after action report for COVID issued on during the first week of December 2024 by Congress, where they said the Wuhan lab, saying that the Wuhan lab had something to do with the COVID-19 outbreak is not a conspiracy theory. And the CIA changed its tune on the whole thing also. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for a nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after, right? And I believe that had to do with the Gaza war and the war in Israel. Millions to EcoHealth, hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al-Qaeda-affiliated fighters in Syria. Funding to print personalized contraceptive birth control devices in developing countries. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and these are all hyperlinked, by the way, which is incredible. From the 3D printing industry, I don't have anything. Funding to hundreds of millions of dollars to fund irrigation, canals, farming equipment, and even fertilizer used to support the unprecedented poppy cultivation. That's heroin, guys, right? And cocaine and everything else they make out of poppies, right? That's the stuff that you used to eat. You know, if you're Polish, you have your poppy seed cake around Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then you go for a drug test on Monday and you're failing. Sort of stuff. And heroin production in Afghanistan benefiting the Taliban. And there's been a lot of stories over the last 25 years on that from U.S. service members saying that they were paid to guard poppy seed fields. Okay, hold on. I got Safety FM. I got to reset. Okay. So. All right. So, it's along the lines of, that's a lot of money. And when you consider what I put in, the man years with this, and that's why I pointed this out, Let's pull that up again. Share screen right here. And you have the man years. So you figure for every $1 million, it's 15.7 years of work wasted on these programs. Some would say, well, these programs are not a waste. We have to support these. And then we also heard today, well, we didn't vote for any of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. You voted for this stuff. On one side, we voted for this stuff to be implemented, and now on the other end, the people in charge believe that they voted to route this out. So this was our vote. We weren't watching all these years. Now, it's the height of arrogance. This is Jimmy Posel talking here, not anybody else. It's the height of arrogance for us as a society to be okay with all this waste, fraud, abuse. And I talked about it yesterday with my experience with dealing with federal agencies out on environmental cleanups. All right. We'll be uploading that program in a couple minutes here. Okay. And then, if you say anything, shame on you. Shame on you. Bad person. And then someone comes in there no, that's not allowed. Why? Because organizations have a tendency of being the inability to self-regulate. Way it is. Do you have somebody in your workplace? I always ask this question. Do you have somebody in your workplace that's a slacker? Have you worked anywhere where there's a slacker? And what do? Can you say anything? No, you can't say anything. You have people breaking safety rules. Well, what do they say? F you, you're not the supervisor. Right? You get that. Why do you think it's any different with these government agencies? And then, all of a sudden, someone comes in there to clean it up, and they're the bad guy. That's just the way it is. How many times has this happened to you as a safety professional, where you're brought in to solve a problem, to manage a problem, to do something with a problem, and then all of a sudden you're the bad guy or the bad girl, right? Happens all the time. If these agencies and if your workplace is able to self-regulate itself, you wouldn't need people like me. You wouldn't need people like you managing their safety, because they'd be in there and they'd be like, and it gets down there where you get people, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, you get people out there, you got to remind them 1,000,000 times. You have to play safety cop, not manager, safety cop. Put on your glasses, put on your safety, put on your hard hat. Put on your gloves. Put on blah, blah, blah. And it gets into a PPE chase. Everybody hates you and everything else. That's what happened during the COVID-19 with the mask mandates. What about when we're there, we can do a lot more things. And, and then people say, well, the hazard matrix, say, when you start to show all these advanced, we didn't know you could do that. Well, you didn't hire me to do that. I have to manage your people there. I want to be up here managing from a high level where we get beyond this stuff, the basic safety stuff. And we're not going to get away from PPE in construction or environmental cleanups, right? It's just not going to happen. Manufacturing, maybe not. All right, depending on what you're doing. You're not going to get around hard hats in construction and environmental work. So what's the idea? Right? You don't do that. So you think that these government agencies are any different than that? Perhaps this is lack of oversight for the last 63 years. The USAID that led to this situation. Think the same thing doesn't happen in all the other federal agencies that we talk about? No, it happens. So, make sure you blame, and again, what's human organizational performance? Blame fixes nothing. We can sit around here and blame everybody, or we can try to fix the problem. And that's my opening for 32 minutes here. Wow.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
Yeah.
Moving into 2025.
Oh. 2025, it's rolling in. Safety first, let's start the spin. Protect your hands, your eyes, your grin. OSHA's here, let's all begin. Fireworks, they light the skies, but safety glows within our eyes. Goggles, gloves, a wise disguise. Keep those limbs low, no goodbyes. Or drop the ball, not the guard. OSHA rules may seem so hard, but they're here to keep us smart, safe and sound in every part.
Sorry about that unexpected phone call here with this. So, all right. Now let's go into the regular. Now let's go into something else, totally different. We did a rewrite of something that's, again, if you're taking the Certified Safety Professional exam, this is near and dear to you. Here, this is part of the body of knowledge for that exam. Hazard matrix table. We rewrote this a little bit here, right? Now you're gonna say, "Well, Jim, what's really the big deal here?" No big revelations here. What looks better? All right. Hazard matrix table. We're all familiar with it. And usually it starts in column C if you're following along on our video section. And that's a typical one where you have frequency times consequence is going to give you your risk. And it used to be where numbers were not assigned, but now they assign numbers. So, for example, something with a rare likelihood and an insignificant risk, so rare likelihood, right, would be a 1, and an insignificant consequence would be a 1. So now you're dealing with, right, 1 times 1 equals 1 with that. And then you have a minor, right, 1, a minor consequence, and that would be, if it's a rare one, 1 times 2 is 2. And it goes on and on and on with this. And then you have almost certain, right, which would be a 5 here. We're highlight number 5 times a severe consequence, right? I mean, it's almost certain it's going to happen. This extreme consequence is 25, and it's pegged down at that. And different way of thinking puts different numbers on here. And when you do that calculation, you have a 1 to 4 is acceptable. That would be in the green area. 5 to 9 is adequate, means may be considered for further analysis. 10 to 16, tolerable risk. And 17 to 25, unacceptable risk. And that is in the up here where the red is, if you're following along. Now, here's a question for you. Here we have, I added another column here. So I had on consequence, if you're a politician or zero, or a supervisor at your organization, and you're not a corporate officer or something like that, what's your risk once there's an injury? It's zero. If you're a politician, what's your risk? It's zero. Because you have a thing called sovereign immunity, and a supervisor, unless they're like an officer of the company or they're breaking law, there's no risk. So as long as they're not breaking a law, there's no risk. So now it's zero. So regardless of what the severity is or anything else, is zero. Zero risk. Now, what does this mean, Jim? I'm not following you. When people have zero risk of any consequences or anything, they're willing to do anything. They're willing. They may say, well, hey, Jim, that's not how people are. I'm going to tell you, human nature is, if I don't think that's going to happen, why am I doing this? How many times have we heard that in the safety industry? Well, I've never seen that injury happen, so it cannot happen. Or, you know what? I'm on a schedule, and the schedule is going to cost me $20,000 a day. That laceration, if I get behind by 2 or 3 days, and that laceration is going to cost me $21,000, guess what? Now we do a cost-benefit analysis on that. Happens all the time. And hey, screw it, we're not going to work safely or whatever, because there's a perception that there's a dollar amount for this. I mean, it used to be, not too long ago, 20 years ago. We're building a bridge, we expect there to be 5 fatalities, make sure you budget for that. Or injuries and illnesses come out for a different budget, and they don't come out of the budget for the job. So there's zero risk. For the politician, it's even worse. We have the issue attention cycle happening at the same time. This is what happened in our other safety thing that we've been talking about lately, California with the brush fires. Same deal. Well, what do you mean, Jim? Nobody ever considered, apparently, and again, they still don't have the meeting minutes up from the Monday 9 a.m. meeting from LA County Fire Commission. When they come up, we're going to share them. So, my question is, the issue attention cycle, meaning that everybody thought that, unless you've been paying attention, that they had enough capacity, there wasn't a problem for fighting fires out there or anything. And guess what? It got swept under the rug. Nobody, again, zero risk to the politician. Those commissioners aren't even talked about today. All right, let's see. I'm going to just for the hell of it, let me go. We're going to go commercial break. Let me go to see what the LA Times currently says. It said nothing 45 minutes ago. Let's see what it says now.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Polzo, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast, it's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Polzo and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
In a world where danger lurks in every corner, one man stands as a beacon of hope. Jim Polzo, a veteran safety expert with over 3 decades of experience, now bringing his knowledge to you with Safety Wars. Engaging, informative, and always relevant. That's Safety Wars. Join the safety revolution with Safety Wars, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Polzo and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives in some information that you might be interested in.
All right, so here we are. We're at the LA Fire Commissioner website here. And about the Fire Commission, Los Angeles Fire Department is overseen by blah, blah, blah. We've done this. View recordings of view their reports. View agendas. Right? No. And it gives you things here. We went over this the other day. And there's the agenda. Oral report, this is what I like. Report of the fire chief. Oral report by department on significant incidents and activities for the period of December 18, 2024 through February 3rd, 2025. That's a typo there. And, there's nothing really here. Well, what do you know? Really here. They have different letters here and everything else. But let's see the board reports. They're talking about a washer and dryer donation. Wow. View in the minutes. Has it been updated since 2013? And we wonder why there's an accountability issue here. To listen to audio recordings and read some recent meetings. Fire Commission. Nothing here since December 3rd. What are they doing? Huge amounts of production here? They're one-man show like I am? Like Jay Allen is, right? And all the other podcasters, what's the deal here? And let's go right now. I'm doing this. Let's see what the news is. And Palisades Fire. Click the map for search for data. Blah blah blah. To help LA provide sandbags for homeowners. Probably because of mudslides because of the weather. And let's go to their Twitter account here. Nothing here since January 8th. Oh, here you go. LAFD February 4th. Structure fire, the normal stuff. I mean, you talk about transparency now. Lack of transparency. Now they're going to say, I'm just going to tell you. Now people are going to criticize them for lack of transparency, and they're going to blame everybody else. Going to happen. So that's my updated thing here, and I think that's more accurate with the hazard matrix table, where the politician has no risk. These organizations, nothing happens to them. And if that's your organization, you got a problem. Here we have, and again, this is non-political. Here, this is just what it is. Right down the middle I've given. No, hour 1 is right down the middle. Hour 2, not so much. All right. EPA renames its Gulf Division to honor the Gulf of America. This is from the EPA website today. Today, in accordance with President Trump's executive order, restoring names that honor American greatness, Environmental Protection Agency today, in accordance with President Trump's executive order, restoring names that honor American greatness, Environmental Protection Agency is taking action to immediately rename its Gulf of Mexico division, the Gulf of America division, GAD for short. From GAM to GAD. Gulf of America is a flourishing economic resource critical to our nation's economy. This body of water is one of the most abundant oil and gas regions of the world, providing roughly 14% of America's crude oil production and a wealth of natural gas. EPA is committed to protecting the 1,630 miles of this watershed, comprised of a vibrant marine ecosystem made from 33 rivers draining from 31 states. The Gulf of America will help power our great American comeback. We are pleased to recognize it and ready to protect it, said Administrator Lee Zeldin. The Gulf of America is home to vibrant American fisheries teeming with snapper, shrimp, oysters, grouper, stone crab, and other species. It is recognized as one of the most productive fisheries in the world, with the second largest volume of commercial fishing landings by region in the nation, contributing millions of dollars to local American economies. EPA is committed to helping develop voluntary, non-regulatory actions and public-private solutions to improve water and habitat. Guess what? That's just their agenda there. Voluntary, non-regulatory actions and public-private solutions to improve water and habitat quality through its Gulf of America division. The Gulf of America program, founded in 1988, is one of EPA's great water body programs. The Gulf of America watershed is made of blah, blah, blah. With that, visit the EPA's Gulf of America website. Here, and isn't that nice? Imagine having to go through this with the code and change everything from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Ay, 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 ay. With this. Different investments and everything else. Interesting thing here. And that's our establishment search. Before I get into trouble for sharing things that are copyrighted. Now, going on to this, and this is from nationallawreview.com. Trump administration regulatory freeze pending review pauses OSHA's rulemaking on heat illness and emergency response. This is a report from yesterday. John Sermon of Ogletree, Deacons Nash, Smoke, and Stewart. He is on LinkedIn and very active on LinkedIn. I've had some limited interaction with him. So the second term of President Trump started with a flurry of executive orders, and he lists out three major ones. There was a presidential memorandum, regulatory freeze pending review, directing all executive departments and agencies to refrain from proposing or issuing any rule in any manner until the department or agency head appointed or designated by the president reviews and approves the rule. It immediately withdraws any rules that have been sent to the Office of Federal Register but have not been published. The memorandum directive applies to a broad range of OSHA activity, including the rulemaking on heat, injury, and illness, and the emergency response standards. OSHA's walk-around rule, recent hazard communication updates, and the most recent updates to OSHA record-keeping rules would appear not to be affected. I'm going to say yet. And he goes into that. Go and check him out. There, John Surma. Great guy. Some more OSHA news with that. There's an investigation on the Washington Bridge demolition. Right? So what the idea is from 10 WJIR. This is from Providence, Rhode Island. Why is it saying Washington? Oh, it's the Washington Bridge in Providence, Rhode Island. So basically what's going on is people are videotaping this thing, from what I gather. Appears to be what I'm doing from a podcaster, is people are like, well, is this the way this is supposed to happen? And there's a video, if I could describe it to you, of a huge section of bridge coming down on barges. According to the Rhode Island DOT, the demolition of this section took place in a different manner than previous work because the other portions of the bridge were moved in smaller sections. in Swansea were of a different construction in close proximity to the Eastbound Bridge. And basically, the DOL, Department of Labor, was there to inspect this, meaning OSHA. And we're pretty alarmed and disappointed, according to Chris Dodge, the Narragansett Baykeeper. We're pretty alarmed and disappointed by what looks to be a large amount of construction debris ending up in the river. Staff from the Rhode Island Coastal Resources Management Council visited the demo site and didn't find any violations. With that, I tell you, with the amount of cameras out there, I don't see people getting away with too much anymore. I hate to say this. And we're going to finish up with this one. Again, Republican pressures from... now everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. With Arizona GOP Congressman Andy Biggs called the abolition of OSHA again. This is from inc.com. Nobody, and this looks like just they took it from somebody else here because I read this. It's get into a little bit more detail. All right, the act really only enforces one standard, general duty one, which says workers are due employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm. An example of the kind of standards that OSHA established in favor of the act is exposure limits for dangerous materials like asbestos and benzene. And it goes in, I guess it is what it is. OSHA has been targeted by other conservative lawmakers as well, including an effort that saw the Supreme Court examine a case that would have gutted the organization. The case brought by an Ohio-based construction contractor argued that Congress unconstitutionally delegated its powers to the executive branch agency, but it was turned away with that. And, it's like this. OSHA is the minimum. Following OSHA standards does not prevent injuries. I hate to say that. It's a minimum. Or OSHA situation doesn't. Sometimes so much doesn't. You're not guaranteed anything. It's not an affirmative defense to say when someone gets hurt or killed to say, "Oh, I followed OSHA standards, so OSHA's to blame because I followed their standards. They didn't work." That's not how it works. I think that there is a deal to be made here. Right? I think OSHA reform is certainly. I mean, there's all different types of things we could all figure out if we worked with OSHA that we could reform. All different types of stuff that we could figure out. But to get rid of the agency, I don't think that's going to that solves any problem with that. Now, start from the ground up? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we'll see how this works out. My question to you is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? What do you mean, Jim? What am I going to do? What are you going to do? Let's say, I would keep an eye on this, and let's say that that this law actually gets passed. Let's say that this law actually gets passed. We got to figure out, we got to pivot and do something else with it. I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to have OSHA, you may have it in different reform, different way of doing things, what have you. However, that's the way it is. Call your congressperson and senator on this and see what you can do with it. So thanks a lot. This was Wednesday, February 5th, 2025, and I will see you tomorrow.
Cities burning, skies are crying, smoking that ashes keep us sighing. Homes are gone, we can't believe. Silent whispers in the breeze. Winds are howling, fires fierce. Fear and worry, hearts are pierced. Families running, nowhere to hide. Desperation on every side. Flames of Los Angeles lighting the night. Tears of sorrow in the fearsome fight. Lives are shattered, dreams ablaze. In the city's fiery haze, brave souls battle nature's wrath. Through the heat they clear a path. Heroes rise in the darkest hour, steadfast like an iron tower. Lifeline severed, hope runs thin. Amidst the smoke we're finding kin. Strength in numbers pushing through. Together we will see this through. Flames of Los Angeles lighting the night. Tears of sorrow in the fearsome fight. Lives are shattered, dreams ablaze. In the city's fiery haze.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.